Hey everyone, hi. Good morning. It's morning here for me. I have a damp hair. I just got out of the shower not too long ago, and my hair is still drying. I am barefaced and ready to talk to you about what's going on in my life lately. And the route I'm going to take, the lens I'm going to take is what is cheering me up. There are a lot of surprising things on the list. All of these things they're not things you can purchase. They're more of like things in my life I feel gratitude for, and or things in my life for which I feel gratitude. If we want to be grammatically correct. Though I watch my videos back, when I edit them, and I'm so grammatically incorrect so often. I don't know why I decided to make that sentence grammatically correct. But anyways, I have an idea for my makeup, mostly for the base products. For some of you who are like, we just want to hear about your life, just know that this is going to be a chatty video. So grab a snack, grab a cup of tea, sink into a comfy, cozy spot, and let's just get started, okay? Let's just jump into the meat of this video. So the idea that I have for my makeup is that I don't want to blank my face out with product. I tend to be quite light-handed. I don't really wear heavy foundation. Sometimes I get a little bit heavy-handed. That's not on purpose. But I want it to be light on the skin stuff and let my actual skin shine through. And then I want a very smoky, grungy eye because that's actually what I've been enjoying lately. Actually, I know exactly what I'm going to do because I'm just going to do what I've been enjoying. And then maybe I'll do a really sort of stained grayish lip color. So we'll see. We'll end up seeing. But the point is that I'm telling myself that I don't want to get heavy-handed with the face. For some of you who are like, we're just here to talk about life stuff, we don't care. I'm sorry about all of that. So I'm going to start with some concealer that I'm just going to try and tone down some of this redness. Okay, so let's get to the things that are making me happy right now. Some of which is just really not usual. Okay, I'm gonna start. Let's start with bookish things. So for the moment, I'm pausing my Superlative Sundays because I have another project going on. However, I am so glad as to how that series, so Superlative Sundays was and is an ongoing series on my channel in which I invite someone to do a Zoom chat. We're not streaming it live or anything, and we talk about a superlative that they chose. And I left it pretty open-ended, and what was really cool about that was that every guest had a very different approach. And a lot of my guests shared about their thought process as they were going to come onto my show. And it was just so cool. It was a really fun conversations with friends. Some people had booktube channels, some people did not. And it was really nice to meet people through the screen in real time, to see the how they are in person, essentially, or the closest you can get to in person as possible, the way they gesture and react live. It was just so cool. And then I'm pausing the series for the moment because I'm doing a read-along, a video on my channel, though there's no behind the scenes, there's no Voxer group or Discord. I realize that the more I do with the behind the scenes stuff, setting up a Voxer group and setting up Discord, if I were to do that, I start to get a little bit overwhelmed. Learned this about myself since I've been on YouTube for almost 2 years. And so I'm going to be doing a video series about the Oedipus cycle by Sophocles. I always have a moment. And I'm just, it's been really nice to switch gears. I was doing the Superlative Sundays and now I'm doing a read along. it's just been nice, you know, like the changes have been nice. It feels very natural. It feels very like what I'm interested in right now, very organic. And I love that. I love that. And good news is I'm really enjoying the Oedipus cycle right now. So if you want to join in on reading that, like if you've always wanted to read those 3 Greek plays and you haven't gotten around to it yet, it's not too late to join in. The videos will be up for posterity reasons. And if I have the first video up already, I will leave that linked down below. More things on Booktube that are really inspiring me. So there's this new event called People April. It's ran by Elisabeth at Bookins and Books and Roz at Scala Dandelion About the Books. And we are celebrating biographies and memoirs, books about people. And when I saw the announcement, of course, like, I'm like, okay, you know, like I start contemplating it. And like now I'm like, I want to jump in with both feet. I am so excited about this. I have a Sharon Olds poetry book. If you, I got into Sharon Olds' poetry in the last 6 months, and I have an unread book of poetry that I want to read for People April because she talks about very personal experiences in her poetry book, things about her childhood. She always tends to have a theme and brings it all together. And I was like, ooh, perfect time to pick that up. And it's just really nice. Really nice to feel so inspired by Booktube events. And so if you don't know about People April, and you want to participate, or if you sound like this is something you want to do, I'm gonna leave the hosts and their respective videos linked down below. So yeah, so there's that. I figured something out about myself. I'm like more into chatting than doing the makeup. Maybe I won't wear makeup today. I figured something out about myself, which is so cool, like a reading thing, which I'm so excited about, and I didn't realize it until now. So I picked up, which actually didn't quite work for me, I might try it again, but I picked up A Fine Balance by Rohinton Mystery, and I read the first 53 pages of A Fine Balance. And I picked this up for Sandy's book club, her 1001 book club. She was reading it. She loved it. Okay, so take my comments with a grain of salt. I did not finish the book, so take my comments with a grain of salt. It is also Scott at Gunpowder Fiction and Plots. It's one of his favorite books of all time, if not his favorite book of all time. So what I'm about to say is very unique to me. I started reading this and I didn't know why, but something wasn't sitting well for me. There was just something about it that wasn't clicking for me, and I couldn't really articulate it. And then what I did was I'm just gonna set this aside for a little while and pick up something else that is gonna grab me immediately. And so what happened is that I picked up The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. I don't have the book. Where is the book? That's gonna bug me. I'm gonna go find it. I found it. Okay. So then I picked up The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, and immediately I was sucked in. I actually tried out the first 20 pages before I messaged Anne at Anne Novella. I'll leave her channel, I'll leave everyone I'm mentioning down below, linked down below. They're amazing. If I mention somebody, they are definitively a great channel to follow. So I messaged Anne, oh, one sec. So I messaged Anne and I was like, do you want to start reading The Goldfinch today or tomorrow? And she was so kind about it because she was like, yes, of course. And she just jumped right in and it was very spontaneous. And here's the deal. I was able to compare at least the beginning of the reading experience of both of these books. And I think I articulated this to myself, and though now I'm articulating it to you out loud, is that A Fine Balance was immediately plot driven. So much stuff went down in the first 50 pages to the point where I felt like I couldn't keep up. It was almost like too much information. And I felt like I was just meeting, Rohinton Mystery on the page, and the story is unfolding, and immediately I'm like, whoa, that's a lot to know about somebody. I don't even know you yet. Like, why are you telling me your whole life story? I don't even know what's happening right now. And I felt like I really couldn't get a grasp on the characters because I was like pushing back against all of the stuff that was being told to me about them. And I felt like it was very much like, I'm going to tell you what happens versus show you what happens. And I just was like, overwhelmed is like too strong of a word. It wasn't sitting right with me. I literally had that feeling of like, you know how like, maybe this doesn't happen to you all, but this happens to me very often. But you start to chat with somebody like at the grocery store or like pumping gas or like doing something very normal, and then suddenly that person is telling you all about their life troubles and they're going through like their existential crisis with you, and you're like, what is your name? What is going on right now? That's happened to me several times, where it's just like, you know, someone I don't know is sharing something that I just feel like, do I know you well enough for you to share this with me? Like, didn't we just meet 5 seconds ago? And I don't love that feeling. Like, yeah. I've been told that I seem like a very open person and that, you know, people can talk to me, and I'm glad about that, but sometimes it gets me into some sticky situations. And so this book gave me that feeling of like, whoa, wow, that's a lot to put on somebody when I don't know you very well. And so basically I felt like at the very beginning we were off to the races, and I didn't care for that. At least my mood a few weeks ago when I picked this up. And then as a contrast, I picked the Goldfinch up, and I was like, whoa, this is really like slow paced. I feel like I'm being shown around like what's happening with our main character, whose name is Theodore Decker. Great name, by the way. He shares the name of my spouse. So I love that they called him Theo. He felt like a very mixed up character. Like he wasn't quite sure about things, and I wasn't sure why he was unsure. And as the book unfolds and you get into the existential crises of Theodore Decker's life, I felt like I slowly got to know him and why he made the choices that he made and why he was hung up on the things that he was hung up on, and why, I felt like I knew Theodore Decker and I was rooting for him, and there was a piece of my heart that loved him. And, you know, it was like his soul in this book was in balance, and I was rooting for him through and through. And so here I am. And the thing is that the pacing of this book was incredibly slow. It was like molasses, you know? It was like paint drying, but in the best way. I should probably have likened it to something else. I worked at Starbucks for a period of my life, and so instead of saying paint dried, it was more like watching the huge drip coffee, like waiting for it to finish. Like you would just watch it because there would be people waiting for drip coffee, and so you'd just be like watching the coffee brew. And so it was like watching coffee brew, but like in the best way. It was like watching the sunrise on a very slow, quiet morning. And I just loved it. I just felt really connected with it. I felt like Donna Tartt took her time developing the character, and I felt a lot more invested and more sucked into his story. And so I think what I've learned about myself is that I much prefer slower paced books than a book that is really quick. I don't know. There's just something about the Goldfinch and the way it was slow and the way things unfolded that made me just love it. Oh, and by the way, Ann Novella is an amazing buddy reader. If you ever get a chance to buddy read with Ann Novella, just know that she is fantastic. I'm going to actually put on a little bit of makeup because I'm just, talking to you all passionately about my books, and I'm just like, I need to get ready. at least a little bit, for my day because it's morning here. Another thing I'm loving is that my hair is growing out, and I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying the change. Let's talk about no TV in 23. I made a video at the very beginning of the year, and it was about not really feeling inspired to watch television at the time. And I wasn't intentionally going to avoid television in all of the year that we are currently in. I mostly wanted to not watch television when I like to not have to dredge up excitement about a new show and then try and watch it and then assess whether it was working for me. And if it wasn't, then to start the cycle all over again, get excited about a show because I researched it and trilla, and to keep on going until I found something that worked for me and watch that all the way through and then start the cycle all over again. I was tired of the routine, the cycle. So I was like, why don't I just cut television out of my life like for the time being? And then what happened is that the thing that happened was the thing that I wanted to happen, which was my husband found a show. And he came to me one morning and was like, Shelly, I found the best show and I think you're going to love it. So it was like vetted by my husband. You know, he knows my taste in television. And he was really excited about it. And we watched the pilot episode. It was a rewatch for him. And we watched it together. And I loved it. And now I've seen 5 episodes of this show in the course of a week. There was definitely, like, we watched 2 episodes in a day. We watched 2 episodes last night. So there are still these pockets of time throughout the week where I'm really not watching hardly any television. Maybe like as I'm cooking dinner, or sometimes we watch television when we eat dinner, like during those little pockets of time. But for the most part, there is these vast amounts of time where I'm not going, like television is not the last thing I do in the evening. And that feels really good. It's like our life is still kind of going on, but now we have a small dose of exciting television about a show that my husband and I are excited to watch. And you're probably like, well, what is the show, Shelly? And it is called Newsroom. Newsroom. It's a great show. It is for fans of The West Wing. So Aaron Sorkin, I believe, is the showrunner's name. And Aaron Sorkin was also the showrunner or executive producer, or was connected somehow in a very big way, writer of The West Wing. And so it has the vibe of The West Wing, but this show came out more recently, I believe, than The West Wing. And it, just different cast, and it's only 10 episodes a season. So the episodes are a bit more hard-hitting, and they're definitely trying to get somewhere. They're not having to fill in 23 episodes per season, and so it doesn't feel like there's filler moments so far. Again, I'm only 5 episodes in. It seems like there is a very clear story arc, and there's very clear character development that they want to achieve in these 10 episodes, and so these 10 episodes really have to be hard-hitting. They have to get somewhere. There has to be development in every single episode because they don't have a lot of time to just kind of maybe just have quippy dialogue or something like that, or have a B story that's not that great, that nobody's really invested in, and you really want to just get back to the main storyline. There's none of that. It's like everyone's storyline is really interesting. It's very well developed, and they're all connected. All the characters are connected in really interesting ways. The dynamics in the office are fantastic. But I think the best thing is that it's funny and serious, but the funny definitely outweighs the serious, which I love. It's like a dramedy, but more the comedy first and the drama second. And then the characters are fantastic, and there's incredible dialogue. Like, everything about it is amazing. And so I've been really, really loving that. And I've been really loving how television has kind of wormed its way back in my life, but not in a way where it's habitual, where I'm watching it just to watch it. And so that has been really, really fun. Also, my husband's favorite television show of all time is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. My favorite television show of all time is Gilmore Girls. Love that show with a passion, like with a burning passion. And so anyways, my husband has been rewatching Buffy like on the weekends or sometimes in the evenings. And I'm just, I'll be reading either in the bedroom or in the living room with him. And it's been fun to catch some of those episodes again. I forget how good Buffy is. It is really, really good. And I'm shocked that it seems like Buffy resurges in popularity for a new generation who hasn't seen it, like over and over again. It's very cyclical. I remember like 6 or 7 years ago, all of a sudden people on YouTube were talking about how great Buffy was. And I was like, you weren't the right age for you weren't the target audience, the age of the target audience when it aired. So clearly you found it in some other way. I think it was on Netflix at the time. And so it's been really interesting to see Buffy get new life again. And then, it seems to kind of like fade for a minute and then it gets a new life again. And so I am very familiar with the show. It's one of my touchstone shows. I compare a lot of television shows to it because I just know it so well. I haven't watched a ton of TV, but the TV I know quite well. So yeah, and then recently, you should tell me if you're interested. I mentioned this to my husband and he was like, I don't know, like you have a book channel. And I was like, I want to do this though. And I wanted to do like top 5 episodes of certain television shows that I do know really well. So it's like top 5 Buffy the Vampire episodes, top 5 Gilmore Girl episodes, top 5 Seinfeld episodes, top 5 Community episodes, just the episodes that are just the best of the best, the creme de la creme, the most amazing. Like, would you watch that? Would you even be interested in that? Let a girl know. So yeah, I'm just enjoying my new formed relationship with television, and I'm glad it's back in my life, even if it's in a smaller, less impactful way. But I'm just enjoying it, Like, I'm just enjoying it. Actually, my husband and I had date night last night, and we ordered food to go. We brought it back to the house. Our children were at the babysitter's place. We brought the food back to the house. We just enjoyed eating, watching television, and enjoying each other's company, pausing when we wanted to pause rather than when our children needed something. And it was just fantastic, okay? Like, it was just parents of small children, right? Okay, finally, I'm going to talk about something that I feel comfortable enough to talk about. I want to talk about it because it's been giving me joy. It's been giving me life, okay? And so I'm going to actually talk about my work, okay? I'm going to be talking about my work, and I just started my job back in January, and at first I was like feeling my way through, but now I have things that I want to say, So I'm just going to let you all in. I'm going to let you in. And yeah, so big step for me. Usually I tend to be kind of private about certain things. So I went back to teaching in January. I am teaching at a small, private, Orthodox Jewish school. And so, much to my surprise, and I'm teaching 5th, 6th, and 7th grade. And much to my shock, all of my students speak fluent Hebrew and fluent English, which is pretty incredible. Most of them can read and write it as well, which is also incredible. And I teach our class, my 5th through 7th graders, with another teacher. And as I was working, I'm getting to the thing that I'm really loving, like my joy, the gratitude thing. As I was, I'm teaching where was I at? I teach the class with another teacher in the room, and we split the duties. We split our assignments. And she's been really kind to kind of let me get to know the job and the students. And now I'm taking on more responsibility for fairness' sake. And so she suggested I teach math. Now, I'm not bad at math in any way, shape, or form. And I'm not one of those people that's like, I cannot teach math. That's not me. But I never taught math in my entire teaching career. I've been a teacher before. I have a booktube channel. I like reading, okay? So she suggested I teach math and she can teach reading for a little while to kind of switch things up. So I was like, okay, I can do that. And interestingly, very interestingly, I have been loving teaching math. Like, who am I? I just love it. I am so interested in how the students think about the problems. I want to know their approach. I am curious when they can get at an answer differently than I can. I've been loving it. And so we're doing a lot of like percent of change, and we're doing things with decimals, and I'm like, I love it. And me and my co-teacher, we will sit around just talking about different math strategies. Like, who am I? I never conceived of myself as a person who would be like really interested in math. And I'm actually shocked at how quickly things have just come back to me. Just different strategies. I love that when we have a problem, oftentimes, because I have the class is very small. It's a very intimate class. So I'm sitting around with just a couple of students. Well, not a couple, a few students. Sometimes we do have a couple. Like literally sometimes I have 2 students that I'm teaching this to. But usually a few students, we're sitting around and we are, yes?
I don't know what it is.
So often, sorry about the interruption. Oftentimes I'm just doing the problems with my students. So we'll be like, what did you do first? What did you do first? Well, why did you do that first? And it's just so much fun. It's so much fun. Who am I? I am loving it. I'm like, give me a pencil and paper and I will work out all the math problems. Doesn't mean I'm great at it all the time. There are times where I mess up, but then it's almost like doing a puzzle and then realizing when the puzzle doesn't fit quite right, where you misstepped, where you made the mistake. I love that. I love that. It's so much fun. And that is like a shock. I would have never conceived of myself as somebody saying, I really love teaching math. Who am I? Okay, who am I? And dare I say, I actually almost prefer teaching math than reading, but it could just be because it's very novel right now. And I've taught reading and English language arts for the majority of my career. And so this is just such a breath of fresh air. And I'm learning a lot. And I'm learning a lot about myself as I teach this new subject. And it's been a whole heck of a lot of fun. It's really cool too. Like, well, this is for any teacher out there, but it's really cool when one's students also get it. Like when they go from not understanding to getting it, that is a really incredible moment. And I feel like I can see that differently than when I taught reading. It's just a very different kind of process. And when it clicks, it's so cool. And so even like one student went from saying that she was like, you know, she went from like being resistant to a concept to being like, this is kind of fun. And I'm like, yeah, this is super fun. All right, 2 more work/school related things. As part of my job, I monitor soccer. Recess. When there's recess at this school, I monitor the soccer game. And it's fun. Like, I have never seen it's not like 100% all sunshine and roses, don't get me wrong, but it is super fun. Like, it's super fun to watch kids that are so stinking passionate about something. And soccer is one of the things that pretty much the entire school can rally around and play together. And so that is really cool. So for every single day, for a period of time, I stand outside and, you know, sometimes I make the final call on something. Wow, that is just like very powerful for me. Sometimes the ball comes near me and I have to kick it away. That's been really fun. And yeah, I just have been really, really enjoying that. I never really thought I would say that I enjoy monitoring recess, but it is so fun, and it's been cool to watch the kids get better and to see their strengths and weaknesses. At this point, I could probably pick teams because I know the abilities of the soccer players so much. And believe me, that's a feat, okay? That's a feat. It's so cool. I have Harry here. The final thing I got to experience, or that was really just so different for me, is that I got to experience the Jewish holiday of Purim. And from what I gathered, though I didn't do any research, and this is only from students and short conversations that I've had, but it is based on the story of Esther. For those who are familiar with the Bible, it would be the story of Esther and the way that she stood up for her people. Purim is connected with that in some way. I'm sure someone out there can fill me in in the comments down below. Just be kind. 99.9% of my comments are extremely kind. And then there's always that one like off-kilter person that just says something that's just sort of strange in a weird way, okay? But yeah, so I was able to, so Purim was on March 7th, and all of my students dressed up. If you don't know anything about it, like I did, like 3 weeks ago, I didn't know what Purim was, but students dress up. It's a very joyous and celebratory holiday. They dress up in costumes, and then they also exchange gifts, small gifts. I just poked myself in the eye. So they exchange small gifts during this holiday. The students did. And it is, again, it's a very joyful holiday. So it's almost like Halloween, like what we would think of as Halloween in the US, but with the joy of Christmas, because it's very celebratory and it's very exciting. And so watching all the kids dress up and looking at their costumes and seeing how excited they were and looking at how they exchanged gifts, which we had a little gift exchange in our classroom, and the gratitude that they had towards one another and the gifts, and it was just so joyous. It was just such a joyful day, and it was really cool to be a part of it, you know, because I would have never known about this holiday had I not been working at this school. So being a part of this holiday was really fun. Unfortunately, it felt like Friday on a Tuesday, so this week has been quite long. But yeah, it was really just a fun day to experience, and just totally something I didn't have any idea about until I started working in this context. So yeah, that's it, I think. And I'm just about done with my makeup. My reading is going really well. I am really loving I am reading Antigone right now. Spoiler alert about my feelings, not about the book. I'm really loving it. Like, it's so nice to be back with the ancients. I never thought I would say that, but it is. I think that's it. Oh, I was gonna put on lipstick. Let me try that. As I finish up, please tell me what has been giving you all joy right now. What has been giving you joy? What has been giving you like that sense of gratitude, that love for life? I would love to know. I saw this lipstick technique recently on Hannah Louise Poston's channel, and so I'm trying it out. So just bear with as I'm trying to like get my lipstick to do a certain thing. Yeah, but anyways, I also just am curious as to like what is going on with you all. What is giving you joy right now? I would really love to know. I have had such a phenomenal reading year, even though it's not everything in it has been amazing, but it's just been an incredible reading year nonetheless. All right, I think that's it. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here and spending this time with me. I really appreciate it. And I will see you all in my next one. Bye.